So let's start with a rowing action. Reach forwards and turn the hands out so that your little fingers point upwards. And then just pull the elbows back, making a fist and twisting the forearms. So if you open the fists, the palms would face up. And reaching forwards again. And back. So it's a back exercise more than anything. Feel the head. My head is pulling forward, so it's looking down here. And then my head rears back, and as though I'm looking up. As my arms reach forwards, my chest draws in. Then as my elbows pull back, my chest thrusts forwards. Now the same thing, but just one at a time. Now reaching up with it. When you reach, feel as though you're reaching with your little finger. And now close one hand, make a fist with one hand, and then reverse. So the exercise that we do when we're standing up and we're coming onto one set of toes and then the other to get that freedom in the sacral area. This is the sitting down equivalent of that, which is just getting the two sides of the body moving against each other a little. One hand is really clenched, closed, and the other hand really opens and splays. So the two sides of the body are trying to do completely opposite things. Prayer posture. Necessary to really have the mind in the dantian for these. Stepping. So lifting a knee. As we continue, the dantian should be getting tighter and tighter. And that will allow your knees to come higher and higher. And now, one heel out. Really straighten the leg. And then bring it in and send the other one out. In, out, in, out. Want to really feel this muscle here getting very tight to straighten the leg as much as possible. And now lifting the knee and pulling it up with the hands as high as you can. Try and point the toes down. Down, and the other one. You want to pull the knee high enough so that the stretch starts getting into the lower back. You normally do this standing up. You can also do this lying down. And now lifting, but also lifting the foot. So I'm pulling the whole lower leg into my body. What I'd like to be able to do is get my foot behind my head. My sister used to be able to do it. Now and then the other one. Lifting the knee first, hand under the foot, and then just pulling the foot up. Put strain on the knee, so just be careful. And then down again. And now just a march. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we'll go double speed. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then double speed again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now 1 foot out, like we did before. Now I'm going to swap the feet round, but together. So 1, 2. Really hold on in the Dan Shan to give this that central core of stillness and togetherness. And now holding onto the chair and cycling. Lean back a bit to get the balance. Exercises like that are important especially if we're doing a lot of standing, because I really want the feeling that everything is connected here in my dantian. So my spine rises up from here, my arms come out of my spine, and my legs come down out of here. So even though I'm sinking all the time, I have light feet. My feet have real mobility. They can move around quickly. Feel the openness here. So my knees are trying to move out like this. Knees forwards and away. My legs bend, which sends my knees forwards. But it's like my curiosity does this. So my knees try to move like this. But similarly, my heels are trying to do this. So as well as this opening up here, my back is opening up like this. So I have, what we would call the open and the closed together, operating together when I'm in riding horse. So I have this for the front, for my knees. My knees are trying to move out like that, but also my heels are trying to move around like this. So this is the riding horse and the holding the golden urn. So let's try the riding horse. So this is the heels trying to move out, my sacrum relaxing and spreading. My palms are facing out now. This is like the extreme version of riding horse. Elbows are strong. Relaxing down the back, down the backs of the legs, into the heels. If the floor was slippery, then my heels would slide out away from each other. And then let's go into the golden urn. So bringing the elbows down and the palms out. And now coming into the front of the foot a bit more. You don't need to come off the heel. Feeling that your feet are trying to splay out with the hands. Back into riding horse, back into the heels. The spine moves backwards. The arms out front prevent you from falling backwards. holding the golden urn again. Feel the line of the forearms pointing down into your dantian, from the wrists to the elbows. Try and have the hands completely flat, so that like you're holding a tray. And feel the arch in the back. If you were holding a tray that was heavy, your lower back would have to be really strong to stop it pulling you forwards. And now let's just move side to side. Single weighted. The two sides of my body doing opposite things. One leg is straightening, the other leg is bending. Make sure that when the leg straightens, it straightens to its maximum. And then when that relaxes and starts to bend, it's got real power. So this leg is straightening, and then it breaks. And that has enough power to start pulling me. Feel the little toe, little finger in the straightening side. Little toe, little finger. It's like the scout that ventures surreptitiously. It doesn't want to be seen, so that's the reason it's small. And it makes sure it's safe enough for the body to move forwards. My little toe, little finger squeeze forwards, and then they just say, it's okay, and the leg bends. Tai Chi is all about sinking, about being close to the ground. So as we repeat an exercise like this, just try and feel as though you're slowly opening up in the lower body, and that's allowing you to sink a little deeper each time. The sink, you have to let your tail out. Now turning from the hips. Basically the same action. So to push my hips around past the front, this leg is effectively straightening. This leg is straightening as well, but it's less active because this leg is straightening simply to stop me from moving too far in this direction. And then this leg starts pulling to draw me back to the front. And then this leg starts pushing, extending, straightening, and then bending. So when we turn, we tend to think of it as being one thing because it's one body that's turning to the left. But I want to feel that possibility as being these 2 feet interacting. So it's not just one action from here like this. These 2 feet are playing with each other all the time to get what seems to be a singular action. Pushing with the foot and then pulling with the foot. Pushing. It's exactly the same exercise we started with when we stood up, but I'm using it to make a turn. So my 2 legs are cooperating to give the appearance of my one torso doing one turn. One side of my body is much more active than the other, the side that I'm turning away from. And then gradually it can just become the first form of exercise. So this exercise that we did when we were sitting down, basically this is Tai Chi. Two sides of the body doing opposite things. And what that does is turn you, and it will also make you move from leg to leg. So you'll tend to move into the leg on the side of the fist, and you'll move out of the leg with the opening hand. What we want to look at is, in what way is this exercise totally fundamental to my aliveness? Not even my humanity, just the fact that I'm alive. Because animals do this as well. Little kittens, when they're happy, so there's something about the two sides of the body moving against each other that produces happiness. It produces a joy. It's what's wanting to happen. And we just want this really to get right into the body, around the waist. And of course, if we make the movements bigger, then it just becomes the figure of 8 exercise. And this is why the figure of 8 exercise is totally fundamental to our livingness. It's like the two sides of your body are making love with each other. And so it's got that sort of frictional aspect that sex has. And we want it to rise in passion as we continue the exercise. To stop it falling flat, it must intensify. And just back. And now let's try just the breathing. And just feel this point here where we really lean back. We want to get the whole spine involved in this curve. I just want to feel the part of my spine that's reluctant to lean back. So there's part of the spine where we hold on. And it's largely to keep a sense of togetherness But really what it is, it's a fear of spirit. It's a fear of letting yourself go. So there's a point here where if I just relax a little bit more, I get a real sense of something lifting out of my chest and going up towards the ceiling. And then I just reverse that and it will draw back down. I don't need to worry about losing my energy, losing my composure. We like to get this action coming from the waist. This is my back tightening. Slowly it's rippling up the spine until eventually my head is going as well. And then my belly starts to tighten. And that whips me forwards. But the head being furthest from the dantian is the part that moves last. But it does move. We have to make sure the freedom can get up into the head. They're just the back bends of yoga, which are considered so important if you want to let your energy out. When you see a little kid and they can just go into a back bend and then just reach down behind themselves and go straight into a bridge, they can get their heads so low. And now just picking the foot off the ground. What I want to do is drag my foot along the ground and then drag it up my leg until it's resting on my knee. And then I just continue it coming up, make a circle and send it out. So there's a circuit. I'm bringing the foot along the ground, up the leg, and then out. Combining those exercises we did when we were sitting down. So those sitting down exercises where we move the legs are important because it will really strengthen the dantian area so that we can lift the foot and the knee relatively easily. The legs are quite heavy. So just little by little, even if it's just a tiny bit. The bit that we're not used to is stepping out like this. So normally when we step out, we just go out like this, but now I want to pull the knee up a little bit higher. Like I'm trying to get my foot over something. Like there's an obstacle here. And I have to bring my foot over the top of it before it comes down the other side. And now let's try this one. You just feel, as soon as we start this, there's like a playfulness comes in, almost like a silliness, a humor. Would like that to be there all the time in the background. So when you're practicing, or when you're doing the washing up or something like that, you can just bring a bit of this in, and then your energy is just a lot more buoyant and freer. So it's got this, this, again, it's the figures of eights, but almost like the two figures of eights are floating because of this lifting energy we're producing in the legs. I'm giving my heart a buoyant lift with this pacing on the ground. And again, this is walking. So walking should lift your heart, should lift your spirits if you're doing it right. And then just bringing it back and finishing. But that is still there. So the important thing is to make sure that you don't lock the legs straight. Otherwise, it locks out that delicate activity. So the lightness in my heart and my head is a consequence of my work on the ground. I don't have an idea of lightness, which I then impose, because that will be heavy. It may have the appearance of lightness, but it'll be artificial. And as soon as you get distracted, it will disappear. So I work the ground, not with this grinding, sinking, but with this pacing. And that brings lightness and freedom into the whole body.